May I then introduce Professor Adrian BAILEY, Dean of our Faculty of Social Science. Professor BAILEY.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you and good morning. Let me add my welcome to Hong Kong on this bright and sunny morning. It's a real privilege as Dean to be standing here to welcome so many distinguished guests to the campus and indeed to the faculty for this very important workshop over the next few days. And let me actually start by paying tribute to the organisers. Organisers or organiser, I'm not quite sure, but it matters not. What is important is the richness and the diversity of the programme in front of you, and that's no mean feat, so I do pay tribute very sincerely to the hard work that's gone into the workshop. Now I'm guessing that the one inspiration perhaps for the workshop is that it's been 40 years, has it not, since David Harvey penned, or at least published, Social Justice in the City. And I must confess I was slightly disappointed this morning to log on to Google and not to find the icon, some kind of David Harvey appreciation.
You can celebrate the Facebook of the workshop.
Maybe that's where it is. But, Google will no doubt catch up on that. But if that is part of the inspiration, if it has been 40 years, then as Professor Wong said, coming to Hong Kong to talk about these issues of urban life, of justice, of power, does seem quite appropriate. Of course, Hong Kong is not Gillingham, it's not Baltimore, it's not New York, or it's none of those other places that Harvey might have probed around in, but it does have a lot of resonance, I think, for the issues. Harvey talked to rent gap, you'll talk about rent gap. Hong Kong people will talk about cage homes and access to housing. Your workshop will talk about social environmental justice. Hong Kong people will talk about the right to clean air. Your workshop discusses mobility and the street, I think, as one of the themes. Hong Kong people will talk about living with difference and other things which are less polite to mention, but nonetheless on the radar screen. Now I think that's all well and good, and it has been said already. Actually, going beyond that, I think one of the challenges that your workshop will have is to actually go beyond that and to not just see Hong Kong as some kind of poster child for what various people, probably included, have called the new radical inequality that pervades global society. And what I mean by that is, can your workshop get to grips with the kind of things that might be happening in Hong Kong and indeed in other places that show some kind of path to an alternative set of models of social development or social justice. So yes, Hong Kong is a good case study, but can we also see something a little bit more? Jan Nedabay-Peterse recently wrote something that I found quite helpful. He said, the 2008 crisis, capitalist crisis, has ushered in a new phase in the intersection of capitalisms. The Washington Consensus survived the crisis of the 1990s in tatters, but in the wake of the 2008 crisis, we are leaving what remains behind. But the question is, well, for what? The Rhineland model, the German model, the East Asian model, the Beijing Consensus. In the wake of the 2008 crisis, the question of social policies, social justice and growth is expressed in terms of different equations in each of the major zones of capitalism. So I think as your workshop gets to grips with these issues, I also wanted to applaud a couple of aspects of what I understand of your approach to this material. And as has been noted, the diversity of the participants really does suggest a global provenance. Now our vision in the faculty is to, of course, lead the development of global social sciences for Hong Kong. And Wing-Ching and colleagues, I think you've shown us this morning, the global genetics of research on social justice, and that really inspires us to think of other social science issues in terms of the global production of knowledge. Now, knowledge is being produced globally, you've shown that, but that of course creates new questions and new challenges. How do we bring together different ways of knowing and ways of thinking. How do we basically work together across disciplinary and other lines? And that's, I think, the second aspect of the workshop, which I do applaud, is inherently transdisciplinary. And I see colleagues this morning from different departments joining. Long may that continue. I think in a city where big science, big medicine does tend to dominate the funding landscape, certainly, a conference of this vitality and significance really can make a difference and really can inspire the next generation of scholars to work together, to hold hands, and to forge new partnerships and new alliances. So I really applaud that second aspect of your approach as well. So I'll close by acknowledging our very generous funders. Now, having said that Hong Kong is dominated by big science, one exception to the rule is Professor Rick Wong, who has been incredibly supportive of this particular conference as Vice President for Research and Development. So I'm really very appreciative, Rick, of your personal leadership. It's also, of course, and you can see down here, I think it is, a list of some of the other co-sponsors. And I will mention and appreciate the Forum for Asian Studies from Stockholm, our friends from the Urban Research Plaza at Suffolk City University, the Century Club and Hong Kong Critical Geography Group. Thank you all. So again, you're our, the faculty is your host, the department is your host, and if there's anything Professor Owen or myself or our colleagues can do to make your stay in the faculty, in the university, and in the city more enjoyable, just let us know. Otherwise, have a brilliant conference and brilliant workshop. Thank you.